Today we're going to touch grass and not learn anything new. No, seriously. You've now sat through 6 episodes of me and Romeo walking around talking about history. Congrats! By now, you know the things. But knowing that Joanna of Naples had 4 inconvenient husbands doesn't automatically help you on an LEQ. So let's fix that. Because when you're staring down at an LEQ that says, evaluate the extent to which geography shaped political developments 1200 to 1450, you are likely going to have a brain fart. A moment of panic so pure that your brain goes silent. So let's break this down. Evaluate the extent is a fancy way of asking how much. Is it completely? Is it partially? Is it not at all? Well, we can't answer that without the rest of the prompt. Geography shaped political developments 1200 to 1450. So, okay, now we know that we have to talk about geography, and we have to connect it to nations and governments, and it's all during the post-classical era. If we think back to the stories from this unit, what do you remember? Pause this and legit jot down, or no, you aren't going to do that, are you? Ugh. Well, just think your answer really loudly then, please. We went over a bunch of different impacts of geography in 1.1, but it's better if you can use multiple regions in a free response question, if possible. So one of the stories and examples from this unit include Japan taking advantage of its islands to partially isolate from the Song dynasty's influence, as well as using it to resist Mongol invasions. Another is the Goryeo dynasty in Korea using the mud getting to Ganghwa Island to resist Mongol invasions and rule. The last East Asian example was Dai Viet, aka Vietnam, and Champa being protected by rugged mountains from invasions by, again, the Song dynasty. In the Americas, the Inca used the Carpanan, aka the highways, throughout the Andes Mountains to not only create a system of public works run by forced labor, but it also allowed for easier conquest and transportation throughout their empire. And in sub-Saharan Africa, Great Zimbabwe's inland gold route was possible through manipulating clients rather than moving closer to the Indian Ocean. So now that we have our examples and stories, we have to answer the question. Evaluate the extent to which geography shaped political development from 1200 to 1450. In East Asia, geography kept Song dynasty China from curb-stomping Dai Viet, Goryeo, and Japan. So I'd say geography significantly shaped political development there. The same is true for the Incas. However, in Great Zimbabwe, I don't think that argument is strong enough for significance, so that would be somewhat. Now that we have our measurements, let's turn this into a thesis. The formula for a basic thesis is topic, claim, reasons why. In this case, the topic is, during the post-classical era, geography shaped political development. The claim is actually answering the measurement or extent. And the reasons why is just explaining how the evidence points to that answer. We can use transition phrases like because, due to, since, as a result of, causing, or by to show that we are listing our reasons. So that leads us to, during the post-classical era, geography shaped political development significantly in East Asia and the Americas, while it only somewhat shaped developments in sub-Saharan Africa due to Japan, Korea, and Vietnam's geographic barriers directly limiting foreign conquest, the Inca road system enabling political expansion through difficult terrain, while Great Zimbabwe leveraged trade networks to overcome rather than depend on its geography. Blech. That's a super long, very detailed thesis. Would I proudly turn this in to my teacher? Hell no! But if you are pulling a Hamilton and writing like you're running out of time, then yes, it's fair game. On the AP exam, you should embrace the lowering of your standards. Anything you write is good enough, unless you finish early and can edit. Next example. Develop an argument that evaluates the extent to which belief systems unified or transformed societies from 1200 to 1450. Well, if we hearken back to Unit 1.2, we looked at how Islam was used in Al-Andalus, aka Islamic Spain, and the Delhi Sultanate, with Firuz Shah Tughlaq, who banned burning people alive for breaking political laws, but not religious laws. We saw this in 1.3 when discussing Angkor Wat, and we even saw it in 1.6 when briefly discussing the Western Schism and the epic Battle of the Popes. So let's go back to that prompt. Develop an argument that... Let me stop you there. That is a meaningless phrase. All that says is just pick a side. Ignore that phrase. There is nothing concrete you need to do with it. That leaves us with evaluate the extent to which belief systems unified or transformed societies from 1200 to 1450. So let's look at our examples and assign a measurement. In Islamic Spain, Islam dramatically transformed society, and it transformed even more when it was reclaimed by the Christians. In the Delhi Sultanate, however, Islam had very little transformative or unifying power. Islam was politically significant, but socially limited in transformation. In Khmer, Angkor Wat demonstrated that religion was important, but it didn't transform or really unify to a large degree. In Western Europe, Christianity was intensely unifying in everyday life, but the Pope example showed how it could also create divides. So, scorecard. Significant. Islamic Spain. Somewhat. Khmer and Western Europe. Minimal. Delhi Sultanate. When our scorecard is across the board like this, we can pull two tricks. 1, reduce the number of examples, and 2, acknowledge the complexity. Now, I would love for you to make a draft of a thesis on your own and pause this, but our relationship is built on honesty, not sad, pathetic lies. So here's my thesis for you. During the period 1200 to 1450, belief systems such as Islam, Christianity, and Hinduism had varied influences and transformative effects on societies, since Islam dramatically reshaped governance and daily life in regions like Al-Andalus. Christianity created both unity and division within Western Europe, and Hinduism maintained cultural continuity in Southeast Asia without fundamentally transforming existing political structures. Okay, notice, even though I have bullets in my gun like Angkor Wat, Jizya, Firuz Shah Tughlaq's legal reforms, and Reconquista, I'm not gonna shoot them until I get to my body paragraphs. Each body paragraph should talk about a separate region and religion, and the more details I can shove into those paragraphs, and the more of each fun story I can explain, the better. Those all build into historical context, sourcing, and evidence. Now, today's episode was one long AP tip, so there isn't a special separate one today. Romeo and I are done walking through Unit 1, so we hope to see you when we touch grass in Unit 2. Bye!